Recently, in my daily devotional reading of Christ in Our Homes, a pastor from Central Bridge, New York, was given 2 weeks to live. Each day for the 2 weeks following, he wrote about his journey, his thoughts, his emotions, and his fears. Reading that every night really made me think about my own impending fate. I wanted to read ahead, but I thought that by reading it every day, it gave me a better sense for what he must have felt. Death is inevitable. It's the one thing we all have in common. All walks of life, every person in every nation, we all have death in common. I've tried to talk to my family about my funeral and last wishes. They always react the same way. Don't talk about that. I don't want to think about that now. The truth is we should think and talk about it. It's going to happen at some point. It's a little scary, even for the most faithful Christians. If you really think about it, it is sort of scary, because it's something we only experience once. No matter how much you try to prepare for it, it's one and done. Finished. The end. Now take a moment. Close your eyes, clear your mind, and think about it. Your time on earth is coming to an end. Think about the emotions that flood your mind. Fear is one of the first, if not the very first, that fills your mind and overtakes your body. It doesn't make you a bad Christian. It's normal. No matter how close your relationship with God is, being afraid is the normal human reaction. The Bible tells us that Jesus felt that same fear. While praying in the Garden of Gethsemane, Jesus was anxious about his own death. In Luke chapter 22, verses 42 through 44, Jesus prayed, "Father, if you are willing, take this cup from me, yet not my will, but your will be done." Then an angel from heaven strengthened him, and being in anguish he prayed more earnestly, and his sweat was like drops of blood falling on the ground. Our Savior, Jesus, was sent to earth to save us, felt the same emotion we're going to feel. There are two things that are important to remember from this story. The first is that Jesus wanted God's will to be done even at his own expense, even though he was going to suffer, and he suffered. He suffered humiliation as well as physical pain. He was spit on, mocked, slapped, stripped of his clothes. He was beaten unmercifully. A crown of thorns were placed on his head. Beaten and bloody, he had to carry a heavy cross to the place where he would die. Then he was nailed to that very same cross. He did that to fulfill God's will. He did that for each of us, for people born thousands of years later. Even in death, Jesus was obedient to God. The second thing to remember from Jesus' prayer in the garden is that God sent an angel to strengthen him. Jesus didn't go through it alone, just like we won't go through it alone. God will strengthen us as well in our hour of need, the same way he's done many times throughout our lives. Although death is a frightening topic,